Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cardalicchio. I want to welcome you to another segment of Destination Health Podcast, where we're finding function in a dysfunctional world. I am excited about today's podcast. Dr. Cathleen Gerenger is going to be on. She's a chiropractor. She's an acupuncturist. She's a Renaissance woman. You wait till I read her bio and to see exactly what she's doing. I'm going to give an abbreviated bio because there's so much here. Dr. Cathleen, how are you?
Absolutely.
Welcome to the
wonderful.
podcast today. We are so happy to have you on. So you started your medical journey at a young age. You went to University of Florida undergraduate. You went to Life University, and I was going to Life, but I went to NYCC. You read that you received your doctorate of chiropractic at the age of 24, one of the youngest in the class to receive it. So let me tell you something. I was in my late 20s when I went to chiropractic school. I was 30 something when I graduated. I was the senior citizen back then. I'm a senior citizen now. So you're certified by the Florida Board of Chiropractic. You're also a fellow of the International Academy of Medical Acupuncture, which I know them, and I was going to do that. Age of 26, you opened up your first practice. In addition to your private practice, you're an associate at how do you say this? The Sejun Medical Institute?
Yes.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And then you opened up your own private boutique style clinic. How do you say that? The Rejuner?
Yes, Rejuner.
Rejuner, and that's located in Tampa Bay. You do a lot of chiropractic, hormone optimization, genetic testing. I do that a lot. Regenerative medicine, energy medicine, looking for results, maximizing results. You're also a golfer.
Yes.
And you treat a lot of people on the PGA Tour, LPGA, PGA Champions Tour, professional baseball and hockey players. We're going to get into that. You're also on the book cover of Weeping Under the Same Moon. Book was based on her journey as a young refugee. That's where I'm starting. I come from an immigrant family. Tell me about that experience. What happened? You came here to the United States of America, like we all do, because the streets are lined with gold and there's opportunity, right? That's why we're here, right? So tell us about that story.
Yes, actually, I just had my book club yesterday, and the author came on to Zoom. And there's a book that they wrote about how my family got here in the United States. And yes, I was a refugee, and I was only 4 years old. And I have to say that journey was just, I have no memory of it, but by reading the book, it actually stirred up these suppressed memories that we didn't even think we had. The memories that stirred up was my sister holding me and running in the dark, trying to get onto the boat. We were known as the boat people.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was the boat was routed to Malaysia, where the refugee camp was.
So where did you come from?
So I came from Viet Nam, actually, of Chinese descent. So a lot of people that are from Chinese descent, we live in a city in Vietnam called Saigon, Jalong. That means that's where our community lives. And back then, during the Vietnam War, because we were business owners, what they do is that it's a communist country trying to take over. So they want to make sure that they target business owners like my dad and my family. And that's when we decided to leave Vietnam. And we had to stay at this refugee camp in Malaysia for about several months. And I remember by just like sitting there waiting for food, and there wasn't any food. The only food I had was like a little 2 slices of like stale white bread and a thick lard right between it. And up to my adulthood, I could not even eat butter. Can you believe it?
Just tell me why. What happened with butter? What's your association with butter?
It's just so traumatic that when I eat butter, especially when it's not melted, it brings me back that feeling of eating that. And that was the only association that I had. It took me into my adult years. That's when I was like, okay, butter's okay. It's amazing what the mind does and how it's able to go back and suppress memories that you don't even think you had.
Right. I come from an immigrant family outside of Naples, Sicily, and same and similar experiences on a boat, t-shirts, ripped up pants, who had shoes, if they had shoes, socks, and they made it, right? The human spirit, for everybody that's listening today, you're looking at a couple of people who really have a lot of momentum and gumption to make things happen, because you come here and it is the land of opportunity. So be grateful that you're here. So from Malaysia, what happened from there?
So from Malaysia, let's couple steps back.
Okay.
I have a huge family. There's 13 of us, all by the same set of parents. And what happened was that my dad decided to break us up into little groups, so that if, God forbid, a boat sank, all his family member won't die. So he separated us, and we were instructed, no cell phone, no telephone or anything. We were instructed, your boat will take you to, area number A, probably Malaysia, and then we all will meet in New York City. And so those were the instructions. And my oldest sister, she was only 17 years old at that time. She was forced to actually be a mother for me. She
was the mother figure, because
yes,
when your father was figuring this out, he's like, okay, I'm going here. Maybe your mom's going here. The oldest is going here. I need to break everybody up. There's going to be groups of 4, maybe 5, whatever that looks like. Right. And then you're going to have to take over. Wow. Okay. So
exactly. So she had to assume the mother role. So by the time we went to Malaysia, we were waiting for us to be sponsored. And the IRC, which is the International Rescue Committee, believe it or not, if you looked at it, I just posted something on social media about the IRC and how Einstein, he too was an immigrant. And so it's a whole story behind that. But anyway, so then we waited to be sponsored, which we were. We were sponsored to America, and we stayed in New York City at the Bronx. We had to wait for our other siblings to come in, and my parents were the last to arrive. And I did not actually meet my parents until I was about 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Now that is a heck of a story. And I really love these stories because, like I said, it just shows what the human spirit can do and where you can go. You can start here in very humble beginnings, but yet it doesn't mean that that is your endpoint. You got to use your brain. You got to take action. You got to figure all of that stuff out. You're going to fall flat on your face in life, just like we all do. And you get back up and you go for it. So let's fast forward some. High school, college, tell us, what was that experience like being an immigrant, refugee from another country?
Wow, that's a first question. Actually, I was pretty young, and I was able to navigate and able to adapt to the American, culture. However,
you were young, so it was easier to assimilate. It was easier to assimilate.
Right. But my elderly brothers and sisters, it was tough for them. Of course, they got bullied, they got jumped. Hey, I'm in the Bronx in New York City. And so, but it built grit. All my family members are all successful business owners. They all are so blessed with this American lifestyle that we created, from nothing. And we all are still together. And it's amazing. It's the American dream.
Yeah, it is the American dream. And I have another podcast that we may have you come on. My friend Jerry and I, his family is from South America, and his mother's from South America, his father's from Italy. And we all grew up in the same neighborhood. We were all Italian. I'm the quintessential Italian American, where you have parents, grandparents that were born over there, and you do develop grit, going to high school and having homemade macaroni or homemade manigot. It's great. My mother made that the best. And having Italian delicacies. It had a little bit of an aroma for the besides the ham and cheese that was being sold at the cafeteria. And so you develop this grit, you develop this love for this country. You know, you want to make something of yourself. You know, you're not in your country of origin, and you want to do something. Tell us your mindset. When did you decide that you wanted to do something with your life? Like, oh my goodness, I'm in America, and now all of a sudden I can do something. What was that moment in time that it happened?
Great question. I like this.
I have a lot of great questions,
like
Dr.
this.
Kathleen. You're into nutrition. You're into hormone, optimization. We'll talk macros and micros down the road in another podcast. We're going to rock here with this for a while. As soon as I saw this, I said, whoa, we have a bit of a topic. We'll get into some other stuff, but don't worry.
Yes.
So what was that moment? When did, were you just looking, like I remember just being in my room one day and just saying, this is it. I want to do X, Y, and Z with my life. And that's it. And I just went for the gusto. I remember the moment in time, by the way. I was in 7th grade, right? Mm-hmm. And I was in, I just, I don't know, came home from school and I was just sitting there. And, we weren't into reading books back then because, different growing up in Newark, New Jersey. That's a story for another time. But I just remember picking up this book and reading this book. And I think I read most of the book in the entire night. And I just said, boom, I want to be something.
Wow. And what was the book?
I don't remember what the book was. Maybe it was Catcher in the Rye. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Catcher in the Rye. I think that's what it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was the book. We're role reversal here. You're asking me questions. I don't know if it was the book or it was just a feeling or a thought in my mind that I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to do something with my life. I don't know if the book motivated me, but maybe it was finishing the book and saying, look what I can accomplish, and then playing sports. I don't know. It just kind of came together in that moment of time. What was yours?
Okay, backstory. So everything, I have to say, was really easy for me, especially with school. I'm Asian, come on. Straight A, cruising through,
Calculus was easy, differential equations was easy.
Actually, I'm the Asian you don't want to sit next to during math class because I like science. I was like, you don't sit next to me.
Oh, Dr. Kathleen,
the other
that's
Asian.
Funny. That's funny, Kathleen. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I grew up in New York. So then everything was easy. Elementary school was easy, middle school, high school. And then I graduated from high school and I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do? So my parents, I think it was reverse psychology. My brilliant dad decided to take me back to China to show me where he came from. And I'm thinking, woohoo, graduation trip. I can do this. And we flew over to China. And first we stayed at the Shangri-La Hotel. Service, room service, everything was like, 5-star. He took me to the countryside. Oh my gosh, that moment when I stood, he showed me, well, this is where I used to live. This was our home. It was just a cement wall. There wasn't even a bed. It was a piece of plywood. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was in the middle of the summer. It was hot and humid like Florida, even worse. But I felt chills. I had goosebumps. That was the moment that I said, hey, Kathleen, get your shit together and do something with your life.
Right.
And that was the moment that I was like, okay, that's it. My dad came from nothing. Right. I love my dad too. My dad came from nothing and his highest education was in middle school. And yet he figured that living that life in China was not it for him. Mm-hmm. And decided to make a whole entire brand new start in Vietnam. And unfortunately, we had to do it all over again in America.
You see, I love this. because your father had grit. He had whatever. I won't say it on the air because I can't say it. He had him. And he said, I'm going here. No, no, this is not working out. Now I have to go someplace else. And you going to China to see where he came from and what he went through. Yeah, that must have been a very emotional experience for you.
It was. It was very emotional because it made me realize that here in the US, we are so blessed. We have everything, running water. We have what, a garden tub. We have organic food if we want to. I have Whole Foods. But where he came from, it was just like, I remember looking at that bed. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I sleep on one of those Tempur-Pedic bed.
Yeah,
with my Tempur-Pedic pillow and my little Egyptian cotton sheets. And this is where my dad came from. And my father is so humble that he is my hero. He's just
that's awesome. Listen, you know what? Made from how old's your dad now?
My dad, actually, he's in heaven, so he should be 100-something years old.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
God bless, right? Oh, my goodness.
When he was in his late 90s.
Wow.
Yes,
so,
and my mom too.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I just lost my mom too, you know. It is, but you got to celebrate their life. That's for sure. It's not like it was back in the day where you throw yourself in the grave. My mother wouldn't have that. You have to celebrate and what they taught you. But I love this. I love that because my father was a very humble guy too. He just got up every single day and he went to work. He did what he had to do to feed his family. I have same and similar. I didn't go back to Italy for that. I just looked at my own house because, when they came over to the United States, they had no money. There was no money, and there was abject poverty and so forth. And but my mother was always able to whip up something with macaroni or something that she can get her hands on for that evening. And as time went on, they began to get some traction. They got the American dream, and they wanted to move forward. So tell me, how motivating was that for you?
It was very motivating because on my whole flight back home, I was like, okay, now what?
Where do you go?
To do something with your life. What are you going to do?
All right, so that's my next question. What did you decide to do? What was that like for you?
So my whole entire life, I like to go through what I do not want to do to find out what I really want to do. And so I'm like one of those people that like to choose the road less traveled. That's why we became chiros.
No doubt.
So then when we came back in the United States, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm the Asian that does not really like math, even though I passed Cal 4, discrete math and all that stuff, because I know how to memorize and regurgitate it. Don't ask me to build a bridge or a $9.99 Lego because it's not going to happen.
Engineering was out of the question for you.
Nope, out of the question. So what I did was that I decided to get into the healthcare arena.
What was that? What was that like? What made you get into the healthcare arena?
I've always loved health and wellness. I've always loved people. I've always like a big curiosity when it comes to chemistry and biology. So I decided that, okay, maybe I'll go into plant medicine. So I learned a lot about plants. I was kind of like a little bit of a tree hugger, except that mosquito loves me. So I couldn't really go hiking too much. And so I got into that and microbiology, zoology, chemistry, and I just accumulated so many little different titles that I can't even remember what they were. But it all boils down to science. I love science, and that was like my passion. Then I decided, maybe I'll try this pharmacy school out. That's why I went to UF. They have a big pharmacy school up there.
So you went to UF and thinking that you're going to get into pharmacy at that point?
Yes.
I thought of pharmacy too, by the way. Just
really? Oh my gosh. We got
Rutgers. I went to Rutgers University, and they have a pharmacy school. They have a great pharmacy school. All the Italian Americans either went to Seton Hall University or Rutgers. If you wanted science, you went to Rutgers. I won't say anything about Seton Hall science, but they had the pharmacy school. So I was thinking about that. in addition to.
Absolutely. And then I went up to UF, and the reason why I got into chiropractic is that I felt like the profession chose me. I had got into a really bad car accident. I herniated 3 discs in my lower back and then in my neck. And I was only maybe 19 or 20 at that time. And of course, the meds comes, the pain meds. Then the pain meds caused the side effects in my stomach. So then, oh my gosh, here's a Tagamet for your stomach problems. Then the Tagamet, here's some allergy pills because you're having highs. Oh, your periods all over the place. Here's some birth control, not for birth control reasons, but to regulate your cycle. Oh, you're sleeping, you can't concentrate because your grades are falling, you're not doing well in school. Here's some Ritalin, it'll help you focus. And when that last prescription was written for me, and I remember holding it, I'm like, I don't have a focus problem. I'm sleepy because the side effects from the pain meds are making me sleepy. And that's
so they told you had ADHD then?
Yes, that's what they told me. And when it came to my grades, I was like, I'm not gonna take that answer. So that's when I was at actually a pharmaceutical conference, and I was just sitting there, and I couldn't even sit, Doc. I was like sitting there, and I felt like I have ants in my pants. I kept wiggling around because my back would hurt so much. And here I am, this young girl, and it was a chiropractor that was sitting next to me. And he said, oh, what's going on with your back? And I said, well, it really hurts. And then, of course, he's like, why don't you come to my clinic and I'll help you figure out what it is. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to snap my back in half. You're going to break me. I'm tiny.
That's what everybody thinks until they come into their office, in our offices, and then
Exactly.
it's just a lot different.
And at that time, I was having these bad migraines and all that stuff. So then I was like, okay, fine. Let me find this guy's number. Let me call him. And I went into his office. I remember my first adjustment. That headache actually went away.
Absolutely.
I was so amazed. I was like, what is this? And about 3 months later, I was off all those prescription medication. And then it was funny because he came out and he goes, here, fill this out. It was like an application to Life College. It hasn't received the university status yet. He goes, fill this out. And I'm like, what is this man saying? He goes,
and for everybody that's in chiropractic listening to this, it was Life College before it was Life University. Just to let you know, I remember that. All right, that was that was a while ago.
Aged me right there.
Yeah.
Before it became university status. So he's like, fill it out. I think you'll make a great chiropractor because you really understand this whole thing. And actually, he taught me a lot about nutrition, and he taught me a lot about healing from the inside out, what innate intelligence was, and how our body has the ability to heal itself. And it was amazing because that's what functional medicine is: finding the root cause of a disease, finding the root cause of everything. But I wasn't really sold on it. So what I did was that I was like, okay, well, you know what? Chiropractic school at that time was only in Georgia. My daddy's little girl isn't going out of state for college because daddy already thought that she's going to pharmacy school at UF. But pharmacy school doesn't start till the fall. Chiropractic school started in the summer. So I always have plan B. And I said, if I started chiropractic school and felt like it wasn't for me, I'll,
you can transfer out at
transfer
that point.
out and start it. And here, years later, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love being a chiropractor. I love being a chiropractic physician. I love doing acupuncture. I love my practice, my patients, and I can never picture myself ever stop loving health or treating patients.
Yeah, I love being a chiropractor too. I love functional medicine and nutrition and so forth. So you're practicing in Florida.
Yes, we're right here in Tampa Bay, Florida.
we're jealous because there's the water right there. I mean, I live near the water in New Jersey, but you know, in a couple of months it starts changing. It gets a little cold. I'm a warm weather guy. My son plays hockey, as you know. You know, it's like, you know, everybody from, you know, New Jersey and New York, they go down to Florida.
Yes.
I'm going to Minnesota, you know, because he's playing hockey. You know, my son was diagnosed with ADHD, and we took a look at his food intolerances and, you know, the food sensitivity, and we changed his diet. We looked at his gut, and he's doing remarkably better instead of you know, going on Ritalin and so forth and so on, because that was on the table. And I had said no. I said I'm not. I don't want to do that. You know, you can't be 9, 10 years old and be going on that stuff. You know, I'm sure there's people who need it, but I wanted to explore everything else with chiropractic, along with you know, functional medicine to help them out. So where does the golf come in? You're in Florida because it's warm, and you're like, I'm just going to go golfing one day.
No, it started out of curiosity again. So then I remember opening up my first practice. It was in a stinky little town. It's called Orange City, Florida. It's only like 5-mile radius. I look like a high school kid, you know.
Where was that? Where was that? On the east or west coast, or
it's on the east coast, where Orlando is. It's about 20 minutes above Orlando.
Got it.
So it's so funny because I remember I was getting all my stuff ready. I'm in like a t-shirt, a pair of shorts, and my very first patient, Bob. So Bob was a carpenter, so he was putting the stuff together for me, and he hurt his back. And I was like, well, the only equipment I had was just a flat bench. Remember those little portable bench that we had? And so I kind of
the Lloyd
yes, the Lloyd table.
I still have mine in the garage. I adjust my son and stuff. So.
Yes, isn't that amazing that it lasts for so long? So I undid it, and then I adjusted him, and his pain went away. And so he was my first patient ever, and he was my golf instructor, actually. So actually that led to more patients because of word of mouth. So by the time I open up, and we're kind of like in that little dinky Orange City, and there's something called DeLand Golf and Country Club, and it was where all the seniors play golf. And I mean, these seniors, they think they're like on tour or something. And so they would throw their ribs out. Their ribs would get subluxated. They go to the orthopedic doctor to get their pain meds, and orthopedic is say, no, you can't play anymore. You have to make sure you heal. And of course, they think that they're going on tour or something because they sneak out and they play anyway.
Yeah.
Out of desperation, they found me. And of course, I'm about like musculoskeletal biomechanics. So I was like, if I understand the mechanism of injury, then I can actually figure out how I can reverse it. All the polar opposites. I've done a lot of seminars and stuff while I was in school. And so I was like, hey, Bob, can you take me out to the golf course and kind of like teach me how to like hit the ball so I can understand the golf swing a little bit? Sure, Doc. So that's what happened. Got bitten by the bug.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to back up. I'm going to go weeping under the same moon.
Yeah.
Why did they choose you to be on the cover? I Googled it and I have it here.
Oh, gosh.
By the way.
You do?
Of course I do. What do you think? I don't?
Oh, my gosh.
There you are.
So
how come you were on there? And how come I wasn't chosen? Well, I'm not Asian, so that's one reason. But why not me?
Why not you?
Yeah.
I was the little malnourished girl that was on the boat that was eating. I remember being on that boat, like little snippets of it, and reading the book. Actually, I went through 2 or 3 tissue boxes, I have to say, when I was reading it, because I didn't remember a lot of it. And so the author of the book, her Jana Laez, I call her as my American mama. She was only 17 years old that time. And her backstory is that we were the one that saved her life. So the story shows Jana, which is 17 years old in America, have everything that anybody can ask for. Her parents lived in White Plains, New York. Dad's an attorney, everything was perfect. And then my sister, which was in Vietnam, had to leave everything to come to America. So she was struggling. And the only thing that she really loved and truly loved and cared for was her paintbrush, because she's an artist, but she could not bring it with her because she can only pack a suitcase. So what happened is that, so it shows like the difference between the two girls and the lifestyle. Well, I had no idea when I met Jana that she was depressed. She was clinically depressed. And her, through volunteer work, is when we gave her the reason, the purpose to keep on living, to serve people. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. So they chose me because I was always that happy little girl. It didn't matter what life is, and I always see blue skies and rainbows.
I can see that in you. You're the eternal optimist. You're going to look for the best, and everything's going to come out.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is, right?
Yes, I was invited to speak at Top Docs down in Miami, and it was so cute. They call me the Human Antidepressant. That's a pretty cool name, right?
The Human Antidepressant. That's going into the show notes, by the way. Okay. Human Antidepressant. I love that.
I like that. It depends on the energy that we throw out. You know, we have this beautiful biofield, and sometimes people zap it. They don't mean it. And sometimes you go through life that way, but I feel like if you're able to like channel those positive energy and just open up your chakras, open up your heart, you attract the right kind of people. And it's just like you throw that vibration out.
Sure. So where does acupuncture come in? When did this interest come
Oh
along?
gosh, here we go.
So we have another story, and I have probably 100 other different questions for you, Dr. Kathleen. So get ready.
Okay, so acupuncture, of course, Chinese, grew up in America. So whenever my parents go to see the acupuncturist, I was like, oh my gosh, please, those things don't work, you know? And it's so cute because the older we get, I feel like the dumber we become. It's like, oh my gosh, we need to learn this, and this. Oh wow, they're really, you know, we learned the ancient healing is what real healing should be. So all my life, I was poo-poo acupuncture because I thought it was like, oh my gosh, it's like so old-fashioned. It's not scientific. Well, I was at a seminar, and I remember I was laying down prone, and I had a lab partner, and we were going through, I think it was the AK, applied kinesiology, because Dr. Goodhart mentioned about acupuncture meridian points. And I didn't know anything about meridian points or anything like that. I was laying prone, and my partner at that time, I remember his name was Scott, my lab partner, and he was tracing the lung meridian points without touching me. And I felt it. I felt the lung meridian point.
Really?
I picked my head up and I was like, what was that? And he goes, why? What did you feel? And I described it. He goes, holy crap, it's the lung meridian point. I was like, again, that's when I went down the rabbit hole and say, okay, what is this all about? So I got into acupuncture. Why not?
Yeah, you know what? That's a story for another time. You know, we have a school here in New Jersey. We're trying to work something out with the school. But anyway, my first experience with acupuncture was really positive, by the way. And I do see an acupuncturist from time to time. I have a bad back, really bad back. I could be a chiropractor. You bend over all day playing football. Anyway, so I remember when my first job, I had really bad allergies. You know, and they're adjusting me. I'm taking combinations of over-the-counter medication and all of that stuff like that. And you know what happened? It was like I passed out when I was in the office. I took so many of these over-the-counter meds, and then I saw there was an acupuncturist in the office, and he did his thing in my face and my hands, And I was in one of the exam rooms. This was a big office, and he left me there, and I fell asleep. All I know is those needles were jumping back and forth. Next thing you know, I woke up 4 hours later, and they all left, and they
Wow.
forgot about me. I got
Wow.
up, and I'm taking the needles out of my face and my hands, and I'm cursing the guy out. Anyway, when I got home that night, I had the best night's sleep that I ever had in my
Isn't that
entire life.
amazing?
Everything was, the chi was chiing all at that time. So it was an awesome experience. Do you treat more chiropractically today, or do you treat more acupuncture, or it's just a combination?
Actually, I do more consulting and
Tell
more
me.
hormonal optimization because my patients are everywhere. I and COVID just took it a step further, where my patients are from all the
Sure.
way to the West Coast, all the way to like Malaysia, all the way, everywhere. So, which is great. So, what I do is that I do a lot of hormonal balancing. That's kind of like my passion. I always like one of those people that love to learn and always expand my knowledge. And if I can collect as many tools as I can put in my doctor's bag, that one patient might need that little special tool for me to work with. So what I do is that I do their blood work. I love chemistry, so I love to look at labs and blood
Hmm.
work and things like that, and to just figure out what's going on. So first, I kind of like analyze. Then I'm like a type A, so I map out an action plan, and I'm very result oriented. So
Hmm.
that we remeasure to see if what I'm doing is working or not. So we do a lot of hormonal optimization. We do a lot of gut health and then brain health, and that's huge, especially working with the athletes. And I also work with doctors that are overseas in the regenerative arena. I feel like they're about 25 years advanced than
Hmm.
we are here in the United States. And when we work with athletes in the sports medicine arena, we talk more about the cardiovascular health, the
Hmm.
lung health, and then the brain function.
Hmm.
Musculoskeletal is easy. Musculoskeletal, we know that you get your chiropractor, you get your massage therapist, you get your acupuncture, you make sure you don't injure yourself, your orthopedist, and all these people.
Right.
But the key is you need your endurance, you need the
Okay.
cardiovascular, and you need that brain function so you can focus and be that
How
professional
do you optimize brain function?
Actually, I actually talked to Dr. Porter. I love Dr. Porter with the brain tap. I've
Mhm.
used that for years already. And what we do is
He's
that,
coming on the podcast, by the way, Dr. Porter.
oh, is he?
Yes, he is.
I love Dr. Porter. I saw him at the Top Doc conference down in Brickell, Miami.
Mhm.
Wonderful man. Spent his whole entire life doing research on brain health.
Mhm.
So I have that neuro check, and what we do is that we scan them. It's almost the heart
Mhm.
head coherence. We scan them, almost looks like an EKG, just to see where the brain pattern is. How are they sleeping? What is their parasympathetic nervous
Mhm.
system is doing? What's the sympathetic nervous system is doing? So it gives me like a check and balance system. So we look at that in that way. And some people, they might need some supplements. Some people, again, we're not doctors or psychiatrists or anything. Some people do need their meds, but
Mhm.
we know that if the meds is going to deplete certain kind of micronutrients, why would you want to wait for the side effects? Why don't you support that micronutrient that
Right.
that medication is going to deplete? I mean, you and I say, what a simple solution, right? Just like the end stage of diabetes is
Yeah.
kidney failure. Why don't we protect their kidneys? Why are they going through dialysis? Why
Right.
do we wait until it failed? And okay, let's go and try to fix it.
You know what? That's, I mean, you're speaking my language. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, there was a study that recently came out within the last 2 weeks where they were saying serotonin, depression, SSRIs, there's actually nothing there. You may feel better for a period of time, with your SSRI when you have depression. Not that you should stop taking it. You always got to see your medical doctor, with that. But there's other strategies that you can use to help yourself out in order to do that, whether it's exercise, eating properly, I mean, having a better outlook on life as opposed to anything. So we're going to make you, we're going to sell you in 6-packs as the Human Antidepressant. We're going to just take your blood and then we're going to synthesize something out of that and just go from there. Because I think it's important to work with athletes and those to optimize brain function. Hormone optimization, it's an anti-aging type of a situation. It helps you, function better at a higher level. I've taken so many courses in functional neurology with a gentleman that's just by you in Florida. So, I do some of that work also in my office because I find that to be exciting. I find that the brain is a very exciting thing, and there's a lot of research that's going on in brain health right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember at UF, 30 plus years ago, sitting in that bioorganic chemistry class and just listening to the professor. Of course, I'm the only female in there. I'm like sitting there, felt like a little aunt, because everybody was just brilliant, and I can feel the room was just vibrating at a different frequency, and I was like, wow, I need to tap into that frequency. And he was talking about SNAP genes, and they were talking about epigenetics. And
that's right.
Here it is. It's at our fingertips.
It's here right now. What type of genetic testing do you do to help patients out?
It really depends on what it is and what they need. So I have like different phases. So first, if they come in, they're like, "Oh, anti-age me." I was like, "Well, I gotta fix all your crap first. I can't take you from A to Z. I gotta take you from A to at least like halfway through the alphabet, and then I can reverse your age, or try to use epigenetics to do that." So we do a couple testing. We do like genetic testing if somebody that has, because I have a network of doctors, MDs, psychologists. 25% of my patient base are other physicians. And so I have a network of doctor. Let's say if I find something like I screen them for the BRCA genes, or I screen them for cancer genes or anything like that, then it's like, okay, go and do this, follow up with this.
Right.
But my big thing is Hashimoto's and autoimmune disease. Actually, on Thursday, I'm going to do a huge webinar on, I belong to a huge community. I think there's 75,000 of these autoimmune in this autoimmune community that I
And you're
speak.
doing a webinar?
Yes, I'm doing a webinar.
Can anybody join the webinar?
I think so. I'm gonna find out for you if it's for their members only.
Then I can put it. I'll put it out in my community.
Absolutely.
So if they can come and they can take a look at it and they can see what's going on.
Yes,
it's because I think that's important to do.
Yes, because everything boils down to autoimmune. Hashimoto's, that's autoimmune. Diabetes, autoimmune. So a lot of things fall into the autoimmune category.
Yeah, that's my wheelhouse. I love gut health. Gut health is becoming more and more researched every single moment of every single day, and it's becoming important to take a look at the gut. I teach at University of Bridgeport, and I always tell the students, look to the gut in order to help out. So what about these wellness centers that you belong to? What's this private boutique thingy that you have?
Oh, it's so funny. So after our webinar, I'm going to do like a little dance reel. So I belong to I'm always supporting the community because it's the small community that makes us whole. And so there's it's called PC Fit Body, which is like a group training that I know, and the owner's super sweet. They're young, so I know what it's like. I've pounded that pavement before. And then right next to it is their dance studio. So I do adult hip hop, which is on Monday night. And then on Thursday, I do choreography jazz. So then we do jazz dance. And later on this week, we're just going to have like a filming of our little dance moves. And
you do everything.
I can't dance for life. So it's just comical, it's just breaking boundaries. It's like, okay, you know what? Let me see. I can do this.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. You are definitely the Renaissance woman here. Okay. We're at about 45 minutes. See how fast this goes? We're rocking and rolling here.
Yes.
So, couple of more questions. If you were to give the audience today 3 actionable steps to help themselves out, what would they be?
To help themselves out.
Yeah, somebody wants to come see you, or how do you do this? What are 3 actionable steps to help them out? Oh, I caught you off guard on this one, Doctor.
Yeah, it's okay because I have a lot.
All right, we'll go with 3. The next podcast we'll go with another 3.
Sure. I want to say mindset is everything. The minute you wake up, or the minute I wake up, this is my morning routine. I wake up before I look at my phone or anything. Well, I slap that snooze button because the snooze button goes for 9 minutes. So I lay there and I think of things that I'm grateful about. We hear it all the time, but it's not just sitting there and manifesting things to come to you, manifest all this stuff. I was like, you have to put feeling behind it. So when you're like, I'm so grateful to be healthy and to be alive. I'm so grateful for my son. I'm so grateful for my patients. And you put a lot of feeling behind it, you raise your vibration. Mm-hmm. You raise it. And so the second thing I do is drink my coffee. And then before I drink my coffee, I use a glass of water, warm water. I squeeze lemon or lime in it. It helps to alkalize my body. It helps to stimulate my hydrochloric acid so that my body can get ready to break down the food that I'm about to feed it and counteract my coffee that I'm drinking.
Because you have to have coffee.
Yes. I mean, I don't do it because I have to have the caffeine I'm pretty energized anyway. I do it because it's just a ritual. And going back to my dad, I remember every morning he'll get up and he goes through this little Chinese tea ritual. And I remember as a little girl, I like to sleep in, but I'll purposely wake up so I can sit there and be part of his little ritual. And that's what we do. We just sit there and we drink a little tea. And it's just like
right. We know what the Italians do. We get. I mean, I don't drink caffeinated. I get the decaf espresso. Put a little Zambuca in. Yeah, put a little Zambuca in there. Put a little Anisette in there. I'm happy. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. All right, one more hack that you can give us.
I would say again, in life, it's not what we put out or take in. It's what we do every single day that make us a better person.
Right.
Every single day, I was like, okay, what can I do to make me a better person? Mm-hmm. What can I do to help that one patient or that one person out? What can I do to support my community? It's just small little steps that you can do that means a whole lot to somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm a hugger. So when I see somebody, or if a stranger comes up to me, and I love social media, a stranger will come up to me, it's like, oh, I follow you on social media. I don't mind giving them a hug. I'm sorry, but I'm a huggable person. I just feel like that energy, that transfer of energy when you touch someone, it makes a whole difference. It makes somebody's day. Everybody has a story, and you don't know what that story is.
That's true. I agree with you. But the problem is your significant other, they get a little jealous here and there with that. Like, oh, stop. You hug 10 people in the last 5 minutes. I don't got a hug here. Let's go. Where's my hug?
All my patients. I hug all my patients. I love them. And they're like part of our family. It's just like, it doesn't matter if they move to Alaska or Siberia. They're still in my heart. And
yeah, sure.
They're like, oh, I remember Dr. Gerenger said my thyroid should be between 1.2, to 2. Right. And here I am above 2. So something's going on. So if I can educate them and make it fun, that's what life is all about.
I love it. So where can we find you if anybody's interested in looking you up and working with you? We recommend Dr. Cathleen 100%. Where can people find you?
Okay. Well, you can visit my website because it's easier to spell. It's www.doctor. It's Dr. Cathleen with a C, CATHLEEN.com. Or I'm pretty active on social media. So then you can follow my professional site, which is the @ Rajeunir. It's RAJEUNIR Wellness. Or you can follow me private. Don't judge me. It's at Dr. Cathleen.
All right, we won't judge you. Let me go on to see if I'm following you. Let's see what you got going on here. No, we won't do that on the air. So, Dr. Cathleen, this has been an awesome conversation. We have more to talk about. We'll figure that out in the next month or so, and we'll have you back on. Want to thank everybody for listening in. Contact Dr. Cathleen. We recommend her 100%. Get in there, take a look at the show notes. I'll have that in the show notes, the website, along with her Instagram handle. So please give her a call, contact her, see if she can help you out, which I'm sure she can. Want to thank everybody for listening in. Live your best life. Dr. Cathleen, thank you very much for coming on today. It was a great conversation.
I had a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on. Everybody live your best life. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.